What is ethical basketball, and why are the Cleveland Cavaliers using it to be the best team in the NBA? You probably know that the Cavs beat the Oklahoma City Thunder in an absolute nail-biter this week. The two best teams in basketball went head-to-head in a heavyweight fight. There were over 30 lead changes, and both teams were pretty much at full strength, except for the Thunder not having their second-best player, Chet. But regardless, this was an amazing game played on the big marquee on ESPN. And what we saw was the most impressive regular season forces from the Western and the Eastern Conference square off to the death, and the Cavs come out on top, and they did it playing ethical basketball. Let me tell you this. Last year, the Cleveland Cavaliers were the number 7 defense. This year, the Cleveland Cavaliers are the number 8 defense. They really didn't change. They've been a good defensive team since they got Evan Mobley. It's been a part of their identity. So what's changed on the Cleveland Cavaliers that they're now this offensive juggernaut, possibly capable of winning 70 games this season, maybe even going on a run and winning 73? What changed? Last year's offense, number 16. This year, the number 1 offense. And they did this going from the number 16 to number 1 while also increasing the pace. That means that they're not only the most efficient offense, but they get the most offensive possessions. And when you combine those two things together, you have to play, as JJ Redick said, perfect basketball to beat these guys. Let's start with how the Cavs are so dangerous. It's in the backcourt on offense. It's Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell. These guys love
half the defense, double the offense.
Darius Garland was bad at defense last year, and advanced analytics show us he's still bad at defense. But where he's killing it is on the offensive side of the ball. Donovan Mitchell is actually an underrated defender and is capable of being pesky, strong, good core and center of gravity, even though he's a little undersized when he's playing the 2 guard. When you have these two offensive dynamos, you're capable of getting playmaking, you're capable of getting penetration from anywhere. And they've got an incredibly underrated 2 playmakers, not 1, 2 playmakers on the bench. I think this is one of the big things that separates their offense from other teams. If you're playing against the Los Angeles Lakers and you shut down Austin Reeves and you somehow shut down LeBron James, there's not a third playmaker on that Lakers team. If you're playing against the Cavs and you shut down both of those players, you still have to deal with Ty Jerome. You still have to deal with Karis LeVert. And both of those players are capable of creating plays in isolation. They're capable of running the pick and roll, and they're capable of running the offense. When you have 4 players in the rotation that are each capable of taking over offensive possessions, there's not really a way for you to key in on any one guy. It's just constant attack. But it's not just traditional basketball where you think of the pick and roll and you think of the isolation. This Cavs team is probably the best in the NBA at cutting. Kenny Atkinson is explaining the value of cutting as it relates to spacing.
Cutting opens up space. Like the old way of thinking was like, oh, doesn't cutting getting away, but it actually creates vacuums and creates driving lanes.
And I want to single this guy out because when you say, hey, why are the Cavs so good this year as opposed to last year when they were just okay? One thing is different. When you look at this roster, this Cavs team had their big 4 last year. Jared Allen was on the team last year. Evan Mobley was on the team last year. Donovan Mitchell was on the team last year. Darius Garland was on the team last year. Karis LeVert was on the team last year. This is in an NBA where rosters change all the time. The Cavs are one of the best teams in terms of continuity. So it wasn't the players that changed. They didn't add Giannis. They didn't add Nikola Jokic. What they added was Kenny Atkinson. This guy is a fantastic coach. He got his first head coaching gig with the Brooklyn Nets. Then, and this is going to be really funny, Kevin Durant says, I want to get rid of Kenny Atkinson. I don't like this team basketball. I want to play iso ball with my buddy Kyrie, and the Nets get rid of Kenny Atkinson, which ends up helping the Cavs this year, but isn't the only thing Durant did for the city of Cleveland. If you're in Cleveland right now, jump in the comment section and say, thank you, Kevin Durant. Thank you, Kevin Durant, for making me a contender. So what else did Kevin Durant want to do way back in 2020? He wanted to play with his buddy DeAndre Jordan. He didn't want to play with the young Jared Allen. He didn't feel like he had the time. So they trade Jared Allen. He ends up on the Cleveland Cavaliers. And now the Cavs have a starting defensive big man and one of the best team-oriented regular season head coaches in basketball. We'll see what Kenny Atkinson looks like in the playoffs. But when it comes to getting a team to play together with a cohesive offensive identity, this guy is up there. This guy is a top 5 coach in the NBA. And he proved that, taking a Nets team to the playoffs that had no business going to the playoffs back in 2017 or 18. I'm not going to look it up. Guys, hit like, hit subscribe. If you like these videos, I will be able to stop working my day job and make more of them. That's it. There's no sponsor read. Just, support the channel. I love you guys. Let's go back to this game between the Cavs and the Thunder, because it's kind of the pinnacle of regular season basketball in the NBA right now on both sides. On one hand, you have the Thunder, without Chet, forced to play incredibly small ball. The only big man they have is Isaiah Hartenstein, but they play hounding defense. Plus the refs let them hold and grab and claw. But this Thunder team is an incredible defensive mastermind, and they were putting absolute pressure on this Cleveland Cavs team that did not fold. The Cavs had poise. I think I go back to their 4 playmakers. I go back to the fact that Evan Mobley has completely taken the leap on the offensive side of the ball this year. He's been a defensive juggernaut since he came into the NBA, but he looks calm and poised, and they're giving him enough space to operate. Every time he had a size advantage in the game against the Thunder, he was able to take advantage of it. I think the craziest thing, if you're a Cavs fan watching this game, the most encouraging thing is, the Thunder fans are going to be like, we didn't have Chet. And then the Cavs fans can go, well, we really didn't have Donovan Mitchell. Because Donovan Mitchell does not shoot 3 for 16. That's 18% from the field. That's not Donovan Mitchell. And we've seen Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs. We've seen him put up 50 pieces. I think if you play a 7-game series, which, by the way, this might be the finals. We might be looking at the finals. This Cavs team reminds me of a supercharged version of the 2004 Detroit Pistons. Who were the Pistons? They were a team identity with 4 guys that eventually made All-Star, but none of them were superstar. None of these Detroit Pistons from 2004 were going to be, the focus of a movie, right? They collectively came together as the underdogs. They were good on offense, but they were great on defense, and they locked in. And this Cavs team is like a better shooting bizarro version of that team. Donovan Mitchell is a superstar. I want to give him his flowers. But he almost takes a step back to make this Cavs team better. I've watched so many games this year, and I own Donovan Mitchell in fantasy, so it's pretty upsetting, where Donovan Mitchell is just perfectly happy letting everyone else go off, and he puts his energy on the defensive side of the ball. You go back 4 or 5 years ago, and you look at the Jazz team, a Jazz team where all of the offense was derived by Donovan Mitchell, that he couldn't take a game off, even when they had a high seed. But in this Cleveland Cavaliers offense, with so much shooting, I didn't even mention the 3-and-D guys. I didn't even talk about Max Strus. But this Cleveland Cavaliers team has so many guys that can carry the offense. You see 7 players score in double figures. 7 players. It's a balanced offense. When I look at this, I think of the Pistons. And I see a team that can challenge the Celtics. I think the Celtics still have the highest ceiling in basketball. When the Celtics are hitting their threes at 50%, and everyone on the floor is hitting a 3 from 5 feet behind the 3-point line, and Peyton Pritchard is hitting half-court shots, you can't beat the Celtics. That's the ceiling. But I think the most consistent winning basketball being played in the NBA right now is ethical basketball played by the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's a team that listens to their head coach. They're not out of here pouting like Jimmy Butler. They're playing both sides of the ball, offense and defense, except for Darius Garland. And this team could go all the way. Is this the best Cavs team since LeBron? Yeah, I'll say it. I think it is. The Cleveland Cavaliers are real. They're a contender. This is an exciting season of NBA basketball. Let me know what you think in the comment section.